Vasudevendra Yogendram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattva Bodho Bhidhiyate. So, in our last two topics of Tattva Bodha, the Guru has been giving us the main message of the Vedas, which is how there is Advaitam here. How there is Ekyam between Jeev, Jagat and Ishvara. He also explained us the Mahavakya Tattvamasi. And with all this knowledge, we are now, hopefully we understand that Ishvara is the reflected consciousness in the three prapanchas, which is also called Jagat and is also called Brahmanda. And Jiva is the reflected consciousness in the three Shariras, which is also called Pindanda. Actually, the Jiva's three Shariras are a part of the Jagat. But because we take ourselves to be separate, from Jagat and Ishvara, so the scriptures first give different names and then explain the non-difference. So now hopefully we have understood and got this knowledge. This knowledge, once we get, this knowledge is not going to get us anything from the world. In fact, after getting this knowledge, we will not want anything from this world. Why? Because we've now understood this Jagat is Mithya, it's an appearance of Brahman, and my true reality is Satyam. The scriptures say, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva na Paraha. Satyam, the truth of this world is Brahman, which is my reality. This Jagat is Mithya, it is the appearance of Brahman. Jivo Brahmaiva na Paraha. Jeev and Brahma are not two different things. Jeev is the appearance of Brahma only. So once a person understands this fact, he is liberated. He gets Jivan Mukti. He is mukt from a life of samsara, a miserable life of anxiety, tension every moment, and one is stuck in this Maya moh of this world. The person is mukta from it, And after death, he is not going to get another deha. So he gets videha mukti also. So this person gets Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti by understanding this one fact, So these last two topics taught us about all this, and now the topic of Jivan Mukta is going to start, which we are going to read now. Nanu Jivan Muktaha Kaha Yatha Dehoham Purushoham Brahmanoham Shudroham Asmi iti Drid Nishchayah Tatha Naham Brahmanaha Na Shudraha Na Purushaha Kintu Asangaha Satchidananda Swarupaha Prakash Rupaha Sarvantaryami Chidakash Rupo Asmi iti Drid Nishchaya Rupaha Aparoksh Jnanvan Jivan Muktaha. So that is a small definition of Jivan Muktaha. So the Shishya raises a question, Nanu. Nanu in this context means then. Jivan Mukta Kaha. Who is a Jivan Mukta? This Gyan Phala, which is a Jivan Mukta, this is not easily appreciated by a common man, you know. Because there is no external difference between a Gyani and an Agyani. Even those Kashaya Vastram, the orange robes and the jata and the beard or a bald head and lots of chandan and rudraksh, that's not a guarantee that the person is a Jivan Mukta. Because this is only a change in perception. A person's darshan has become Sudarshana. And this only that person can know. Who else can know, you know, that this person's perspective is changed now? So this is such a subtle thing that the common man doesn't understand it. That's the reason they have no value for this knowledge. They only have value what they see. They see what? Wealth, house, car, which brand of this car, relationships, money, bank. This is what they can see. They can't see beyond this, you know. And this is a very subtle Gyan Phala, you know. Only that person knows that his life transformed, you know, getting this. And not only the person, common person doesn't have any value for this, because many a times the Gyani takes to a life of sannyasa, you know. And then in the family, if a person is getting very interested in spirituality, the family members start getting worried. That, oh my God, this person is going to walk out of my life, you know. So they dissuade the person. If a person is sitting in meditation, you're not supposed to disturb that person because he is contemplating upon God, you know. But then the people in the family, they trouble him because they don't want him to get into this. They don't want him to take sannyasa, you know. In our culture, a life of a human being is divided into 4 stages, and each stage of the life is called an ashrama. Shrama means struggle, and ashrama means no struggle, no quarrel, no fight, peace, peaceful life, you know. So each stage, there are 4 stages, which are Brahmacharya ashrama, Grahastha ashrama, Vanaprastha ashrama, and Sannyas ashrama. And if a person has lived a life of dharma, a righteous life, he is going to transition from these stages of life very easily, and he is going to get a lot of emotional maturity, you know. Because we have to grow over the desire for this world, this worldly stuff. We have to grow over the desire for moksha, you know. Just like today, we have grown over the desires of playing with toys. We don't have that desire anymore. We've grown over it. That's a natural desire, you know. But naturally, we want to get detached from this world. We have to make our effort here, you know. Naturally, we can only grow old physically. We'll grow old and we'll die. But this emotional maturity and this knowledge, one has to put an effort for, you know. So we have to get this growth in us. Then only we can accomplish the goal of moksha, you know. So that is why these 4 ashramas are there, and the first ashrama of a life is Brahmacharya ashrama. Brahmacharya means Brahman charati. Brahman in God, charati, one who revels. In our culture, the life of a human being is God-centric, because the goal over here is moksha. So unless your life from the beginning is God-centric, somewhere down the line you're chasing this world, and suddenly you won't turn a new leaf, you know. Right from the beginning, the life is God-centric. The children in those Vedic times, they were sent to the Gurukulas, and there, whether it was the child of a king or a pauper, they lived in one environment. They got the basic necessities, maybe 2 pairs of clothes, they slept on the floor, they ate food from the same kitchen, and they lived a strict, disciplined life. That is the life of a brahmachari, you know. A disciplined life makes the physical body and the mind rough and tough to face the life in future. We have to confront these challenges of life. If right from the beginning a child is pampered and given everything it wants, the child is not going to be unfit to face the life later, you know. So our culture had really prepared the kids to grow through this, and during brahmacharya ashrama they were taught about these 4 stages of life, you know, and they were told about the goal of life. The goal of life is not today, you know, people get into grihastha and they can't get out of grihastha ashram. They are just entangled in the maya moh of grihastha ashram. You finish doing babysitting of your children, then do the babysitting of your grandchildren, because you can't leave them. You have to get out of grihastha ashram also, not physically but mentally detach, you know, otherwise you're attached to relationships, money, and not able to grow. You have to go through these 4 ashramas in our life, you know. And once a person finished the studies with full discipline and, you know, concentration, then he had a choice to enter the grihastha ashrama. Grihastha. Grah is a house. Astha means he stabilized in a house. This is the person who actually has a house, because the other 3 ashramas in our culture, they don't have a house. Brahmachari lives in a Gurukula, Vanaprastha lives somewhere else in the forest earlier days, Sannyasi doesn't have a home. So it is the Grihasthis who actually maintained this society, provided for the society, not just feed yourself and hoard, you know, all the time. You have to take care of the society. If you remember your earlier generations, even as a symbol of, you know, to share your wealth, they would, while eating food, they would take out food for everybody, you know. In our grandfathers and grandmothers did that this is for the bird, this is for the cow, and you have to share. That was a symbolic depiction of you supposed to share, because the other ashramas are not earning money. It is the grihasthis who are doing that. They have the responsibility of the society. They had at that time. Also in a grihastha ashrama, when you enter, you are with a spouse, you have children, and you deal with so many people in the family. You're supposed to put your likes and dislikes aside and live a life of dharma and avoid adharma. Then only this life brings a lot of growth. You have to be instrumental in the happy coexistence of so many people. You know, the women actually did this job, you know, they kept the family together so that everybody is happy, you know, over there. So grihasthis have a lot of, and this stage of life brought the maximum emotional maturity in a person, because a lot of sacrifice is required in this phase of life. You know, you have to put yourself aside. It is the other person, you know, you take care of. So after having completed the grihastha ashrama, the next is vanaprastha ashrama. Vana means forest, prastha going. So in the earlier days, people actually did leave for the forest because they wanted to be away from all this maya moha and live a peaceful life, concentrate upon God and this knowledge, you know. Today that is not being done, but many people leave for ashramas here, you know. There are many ashrams all around, and this is a provision of our culture. See, till date, the foreigners are also coming down because they can live here, you know. So they would live, and even if you don't leave the house, if your environment in the house permits you to concentrate upon God and the studies, you don't have to leave the house. But definitely you have to hand over the baton to the next generation. Give the responsibilities to the next generation and stop poking your nose in their lives, you know, give them that space. They need to live happily. You live happily first. You will only live happily when you stop interfering in their affairs, you know. So a person will be a blessing for himself and the family members when he turns his mind away from all these responsibilities. Handed over the responsibilities to the next generation, you know. Otherwise, there are people who are, you know, tagging behind this younger generation wherever they are going. These people or these oldies also want to go, be it a movie or a holiday. Wait, didn't you grow over all this? No, they didn't. The worldly desires are still there in them. They didn't grow in life, they just grew old, So we are supposed to grow. The desires only have to change, then only we will get moksha, So after vanaprastha ashrama, then we are supposed to take sannyasa ashrama. Sannyas can be external or internal. External sannyas is when you actually renounce the house and leave the house, But you can also have internal sannyasa. You're just being sannyast in your mind. And the environment in the house should be conducive for that, If there's too much of trouble in the house, then people don't want to stay there, After they finish their responsibilities, everything is over, and they have a choice now to leave, So, be it external or internal, the sannyas ashrama has two phases. One is called vividisha sannyasa, and the other is called vidvat sannyasa. Vividisha means veditum ichha. That is mumukshutvam, There is a desire in that person to study the Vedas now, And vidvat is when he has got the knowledge and now he wants to revel in that knowledge, and by choice you can even share the knowledge. This is not a must. That is, some person you want to live peacefully, you live peacefully where you want to, But the external sannyasa, when a person takes, there are phases of that too, and first the person is given white robes to wear, That indicates vividisha sannyasa, So that is the phase when the person is studying the Vedas. By the clothes only you can make out, they are called brahmachari so and so, They are studying the Vedas. It's the phase of vividisha sannyasa. Then you are given yellow robes to wear. Not kashaya vastram right away, because in our culture, once you put on the kashaya vastram, this is a one-way traffic. You cannot revert back to family life again. So you have to think and be very sure whether you want to take sannyasa or you don't want to take sannyasa. So they give them enough time. You put on the orange robes, the yellow robes, live that kind of life and see whether this is okay with you. But there are lots of people around, they'll first, you see them in kashaya vastram, and after some time they've remarried and that's not what the Vedas say. You're not supposed to do all that, This is one way, the kashaya, the orange color represents fire. And just as fire burns down everything, the fire of knowledge burns down the self-ignorance, Gyan Agni Agyanam Bhasmasat Kurute. That is why they wear those orange robes. And a person who wears those orange robes is then called a Swami. He is a master of himself, He doesn't need this world to live his life. He is detached from this world. In fact, during the ritual of sannyasa, the pindadan of that person is also done. It is a very elaborate ritual. You have to take it seriously. You're entering the phase of sannyasa ashrama after that, So it's a choice and one has to take that, and these are the 4 phases of life. And for moksha, whether it is external sannyasa or internal sannyasa, you have to detach from this world, So this is the growth we have to bring in. So here the Guru is explaining who is a Jivan Mukta. So he says, Yatha Dehoham Purushoham. Just like a common man, he has Drida Nishchaya. He has 100% conviction. Dehoham. I am this. This is me. The doubt only is not arising in the person's mind, that is there any doubt about that? No, they don't even know that there is something else. So they are 100% sure, Dehoham, Purushoham, I am this person, I am this individual, be it a male or a female, They are very, very strongly identified with their gender. And that is why the women today, they're fighting for women's lib and celebrating Women's Day and all that. Why? Because the women have been oppressed by men for a long time in our culture, They have not been treated rightly. They were deprived of education so that they would just stay put at home and take care of everybody. It suited the men very well. We don't have a Man's Day celebration. Why don't we have that? because the women needed liberation, they needed their own freedom. So they are very, very strongly, I am a woman, I am a man, they're identified with their gender. So a common man is identified that this is him, this body is him, and I am this person. Brahmanoham Shudroham Asmi iti Dhrida Nishchaya. And from the religious point of view, they have Dhrida Nishchaya that either they are Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra. This also there was at least earlier. Now it's coming down. That identification is not so strong. And we are also paying a heavy price for this, because earlier all those, what we have gone and done, those Brahmanas and all have ill-treated the other people. So today there's so much of reservation for those other castes. The open seats have become very few. So we are paying a heavy price for our own misbehavior, So the earlier days they were very, very strongly identified with this religious identity. The moment you say, I'm a Brahmana, and there was a superiority about it, So this was what? Dhrida Nishchaya of a common man. Same way, Tatha, Naham Brahmana na Shudraha, na Purushaha. In the same way, a Jnani has Dhrida Nishchaya that he is not Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. He is not any of these, because that belongs to the person, and he is not that person only anymore. He has realized that he is Brahman, So these four divisions of the society were in the Vedic times, it was only meant to denote the professional work a person did. That's about it. And nothing is superior, inferior, because everybody is required to run the society harmoniously, The Brahmanas, they lived with the bare minimum. The Brahmanas were never wealthy people. They didn't own houses and cars. They just had the, whatever dakshina was given, they're content with that, because their mind is in the knowledge, So they were just meant to study. If they studied the Karma Kanda portion, the Ved Purva, then they performed rituals and got puja and all done. And if they studied Vedanta, then they were Jnanis, and they could actually just take sannyasa and go and live, or choose to share this knowledge, But Brahmana has to have his mind in studies, at least those days, Today you find criminals and the name will be ending with Sharma. And you're shocked that this person's a Brahmana, he's committing this kind of a crime. Earlier days, it was not there. The Brahmins lived their life, they just focused on this knowledge. The Kshatriyas were meant to protect the country and the society from evil elements. That was the job of the Kshatriyas. The Vaishyas took care of the economy, making provisions for food, clothing, etc. for everyone. And the Shudras did the labor work. Actually, in the Puranas, they describe God's body as these four kind of people. The head of Bhagwan is supposed to be Brahmanas, because the Brahman needs brains to study, The hands of Bhagwan are the Kshatriyas. The legs of Bhagwan are Vaishyas. And the feet of God are Shudras. And no part of our body is more superior than the other. We require every part of our body, In fact, when we pray to God, we touch God's feet. So we are supposed to take care of the Shudras, the labor. Today, if we want to shift a house, without these people, we can't shift a house. This is so much of work they do. And we're not supposed to look down. All the four professions had to be, they were even and equally, no inferiority, superior, at least at that time. But somewhere down the line, things went wrong, and till date, we are paying a price for that, A lot of people have been ill-treated, and, and they've been deprived of their rights because you're a Shudra, like stay away and don't touch me and all that, which is very wrong. So, the Jnani is totally disidentified with all these religious identities. So he says, Kintu, but Asangaha Sachidananda Swarupaha. He takes himself to be the Asangaha. There's no Sangaha attachment with this body, mind, sense complex, because So, consciousness is a sangaha, and he knows himself as consciousness. So he knows himself as Sat, Chit and Ananda Swarupaha. We have seen the meaning of all these three words. Sat is what? Trikale api tishtati iti Sat. That which exists in three periods of time, past, present and future. That which is eternal is Sat. So consciousness is Sat. Chit is consciousness, because of which I am conscious. And Ananda is Anantaha, that which is limitless is alone Ananda. Scriptures say, Yo vai bhuma tat sukham na alpe sukham asti. Sukh is only in knowing yourself as limitless. In alpe, in that which is limited. Sukham nasti. There's no sukha, be very sure, it's just temporary tidbits which you will get, So the realization that I am Satchidananda actually is going to bring true happiness, true fulfillment, So he knows, Agyani knows himself as Asangaha Satchidananda Swarupaha, Prakash Rupaha. Consciousness, I am the light of consciousness. It's not that consciousness is present in me or consciousness is present outside. I am the light of consciousness is his knowledge. He knows himself as the consciousness, Prakash Swarupaha. Sarvantaryami, I am present in everyone. Antaryami, Sarva, in all the people. Just like how, the thread is present inside the beads in a necklace. It is the thread which is holding all the beads together. The thread is invisible, but there can be no necklace without the thread. That is holding it. And so, this consciousness is holding this world together. So, I am that Sarvantaryami consciousness. Chidakash Rupo Aham Asmi. Not only am I the light of consciousness, Chit Akash. Chit is consciousness, which is Akashvat. We have studied, it is Akashvat, it is Prakashvat. So, just like the space, it pervades everything, it supports everything, and is untouched by everything. Without space, no object can exist over here. And no object can contaminate space, Akash. Akash gives avakasha to all the objects, for it permits the objects to exist because of itself. There can be no object in this world if there is no space, And no object can contaminate Akasha. The air can get contaminated, the objects can get contaminated, space never gets contaminated. Similarly, Chit Akasha Rupa, my consciousness never ever gets contaminated by Anatma. Atma never gets contaminated, it is through and through the Anatma, yet it is untouched by Anatma. That is why Brahman is known as transcendental God, untouched by Anatma. It always retains its pure nature of Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta. Pure knowledge, Mukta, free, Asangaha, So that is my nature. Iti dृढ़ निश्चय रूपः aparoksha ज्ञानवान जीवन मुक्तः. So when this is the 100% conviction of a person, he has this aparoksha jnana. Aparoksha jnana is immediate knowledge, a realization, enlightenment, As per our scriptures, there are three kinds of knowledges, One is pratyaksha jnana, one is paroksha jnana, and the other is aparoksha jnana. Pratyaksha means prati aksha. Aksha is what? The eyes. And the eyes represent all our other five senses. So prati aksha, the direct knowledge of an object of this world which I am receiving by my four senses directly, I have experienced it, is called pratyaksha jnanam. Paroksha jnanam is par aksha. Par is somebody else's aksha. This is an indirect knowledge which I am getting through somebody, like I have read about it, I have heard about it, I have not directly experienced that knowledge. That is par aksha, like the knowledge we have of heaven. We have not experienced heaven, but we have read about it, So that is what? A paroksha jnana. Until we don't know who is God, the entire knowledge of God is paroksha jnana. We don't know who is God, And aparoksha jnana is not of any object in this world, it is of the subject, me, my realization of myself, who am I. That is aparoksha jnana. So a person who has this aparoksha jnana about all these, his own swarupa, is called a jivan muktaha. And a jivan mukta is who? He has become mukta from a jivan of samsara. He's just got freedom from this miserable life of samsara, Such a person in Bhagavad Gita is known as sthita pragyaha. Pragyaha means knowledge. Sthita, who's stabilized in this knowledge. Only when you're stabilized can your perspective change and your life will change, Not without this. You have to be, it's not intellectual knowledge. This sthita pragya means assimilated knowledge. And then the person is not affected by the ups and downs in this world. In his life, whatever happens externally, he's not bothered. Even if it's happening to his body, he's disidentified from the body, it's not troubling him. So Bhagavad Gita says, Dukheshu anudvigna manaha, Sukheshu vigatas prahaha, Vita raga bhaya krodhaha, Sthita dhir muni uchyate. Sthita, dhira. Dhira is who? A wise person. The word dhi comes from buddhi. This person is buddhiman, not a buddhuman. Not using his buddhi, you become a buddhuman. God gave you buddhi to use it to reach moksha, It's not an easy goal, and that only a human buddhi you have got. So he's a dhira who has that kind of buddhi. Muni is a mananashila vyakti. A contemplative person is called a muni who can see beyond all this. There's something else which he can see, So such a person, dukheshu anudvigna manaha, his mind, manaha, in dukkha, anudvega, there is, udvega is agitation in the mind, A little bit of trouble outside and the mind is agitated, But for him, dukheshu anudvigna, no dvega in the mind. That is not troubling his mind, Sukheshu vigatas prahaha. In sukha, vigat means he is free from, spraha, attachment. So all these happy events are not, he is not going crazy. You see the people here, one festival, one marriage, one get together, they lose their balance. The way they're so excited, you can see that, that emotionally unstable, they're so excited and happy about happy events in life, So if you get so happy, then you will be so sad in anything which goes wrong, Vita raga bhaya krodha. Vita is free from raga, attachment, bhaya, fear, krodha, anger. Sthita dhir muni uchyate. Such a person is known as sthita dhir muni, which here means a jivan muktaha. Such a person is a jivan muktaha. So the first benefit of this knowledge, jnana phala, is what? Emotional immunity. Only a jivan mukta can get that. As long as you take yourself to be a mortal jiva, you can only pretend to have emotional immunity and try and be positive all the time. You're making an effort to think positive, do positive, but from inside there's trouble, But for a jivan mukta, there's no problem. He's got emotional immunity, all this is not troubling him. And ajnani is so disturbed by everything, and especially as the person ages, there is a lot of insecurity in a person because the children grow up and go. They have to live their lives. And every day this body is aging, and every day there's a new problem cropping up. You wake up with the aches and pains here and there. It's not a normal what we had those happy-go-lucky days earlier, you know. So, and then death is approaching. Every day you may hear one of your contemporaries going, you know, or even the spouse can go. So that is very scary for a normal person, not a jnani. A jnani has got emotional immunity, you know, he's detached, he's disidentified with everything. So to get this is a huge gyan phala, you know. Imagine living a life where nothing is bothering you. Here that is the main problem which everybody has. Little bit things go wrong, one small disease comes in the body, just look at the state of affairs of everyone. If everything is going hunky-dory, they are very happy. The moment things stop, your setup becomes up, you know, changes and you are upset. So this gyan phala only a jnani can have, and only a jnani can actually live and the old part of life happily. Otherwise, retirement actually for most of the people is not real retirement. They just start doing something else, or they start playing golf only, if nothing else, you know. Something has to be done. How can you just sit without doing nothing? So, but a jnani can. If he doesn't have anything to do, all he has to go is revel in his own nature. You are in bliss. So, and they don't interfere in these younger generations, you know, they don't go poking their nose there, you know, you go live your life. Imagine giving this freedom to the children to live your life, go live your life nicely, you know. No, the parents don't leave them, they're sitting on the jugular, because I have produced you, now you take care of me, and there's no, you know, there's no space given. A jnani knows how to live his life, you know, and let the others live their life. So this is the first gyan phala. Now the Guru is going to talk about the second gyan phala, which we'll read. Brahma eva aham asmi iti. Aham asmi iti. Aparoksha jnanena. Nikhil karma bandha. Vinirmuktah syat. Brahma eva aham asmi. I am Brahman. Iti aparoksha jnanena. This aparoksha jnana, when a person gets nikhil karma bandha, nikhil means in totality. Karma bandha, the bondage of karmas. Vinirmukta syat, the person becomes mukta from the entire bondage of karma. So here the Guru is contrasting a jnani's glory with that of an ajnani, you know. See, in an ajnani's life, when the ajnani dies, his physical body has to die, just like a jnani's body has to die, and this is made up of panchikrit, panch mahabhutas. The 5 mahabhutas resolve back into the 5 elements, both for a jnani and jnani both. But in case of an ajnani, the sukshma sharira along with karan sharira, as per our shastras, you have to only, nothing else can prove this fact. So this moves for its onward journey, you know. And this sukshma sharira has to get another set of another sthul sharira as per the karmas. Actually, it is the karmas which, because of which a person is getting another sthul sharira. So the karmas are responsible for getting us this body again. And once the jnani gets another sthul sharira, then the sthul sharira has to go through 6 modifications which we studied. Asti, jayate, vardhate, viprinamate, apakshiyate, vinashyati. Asti means came into existence. Jayate, born. Vardhate, grows. Viprinamate, metamorphosis happening. Apakshiyate, downhill of the life starts. Vinashyati, dies again. Then again what happens? Again a set of karmas will get him another sthul sharira. And again he goes through this. He dies again. Again he is going to get another sthul sharira. So there is this cycle of birth and death, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Adi Shankaracharya ji says in his Bhaj Govindam, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam, इह samsare bahudustare kripya pare pahi murare. This punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, this cycle of birth and death, punarapi janani jathare shayanam, janani is mother, shayanam is there sleeping, there again for 9 months will be sleeping inside mother's uterus, Then Iha samsare bahudustare. I'm so done with this life of samsara. Born again, go to school, go to college, get married, have children, die. Born again. This, what is this? A person has to first think beyond this, otherwise they're very happy. Most of the people talking, next time I want to be born as this, I want to be your husband, I want to be your wife. Okay, very nice. You're not even thinking beyond that, You can get out of this cycle if you want to. No, they're very happy, 7 janmon ka hisab kitab, over here, aap hi chahiye, So, then, but this is not what is happening in a Jnani's case. Jnani transcends the law of karma. He has become vinir mukta from all the bondage of karma. He is not going to get another deha. He's got videha mukti. So here Guru is saying, Brahmeva aham asmi idi aparoksh yanena nikhil karma bandha vinir muktya syat. So the person has become free from the bondage of karma, and so he is not getting another deha. But an ajnani can't escape the law of karma. Ajnani is bound by this law of karma. He may be able to escape the law of the land, or at least he thinks he's been able to escape. The government authorities may not be able to catch you when you've done something wrong, but be 200% sure that wrong act of yours has got registered in the law of karma by God's law of karma. You cannot escape that law. So not only now you did something wrong, but you broke the government's law, so that there is going to be double problem there, punishment waiting for you, because you're bound by the law of karma. So we people, we are bound by two kind of laws, One is the natural laws here, the physical laws here, because it affects our body. The law of electricity, the law of magnetism, the law of gravity. Because of gravity, we are walking on this earth. So I'm affected by all those laws. And then the most important, law of karma, which is based on law of dharma, which people don't even know about, But a jnani, he has transcended this law of karma, just by getting this knowledge. The entire karma account which is standing there in your account, it gets wiped clean. All the karmas are just removed. It seems as per the Puranas, the celestial accountant is called Chitragupta ji, Chitragupta ji is keeping account of the karmas of each and every individual, and they are going to get results for those karmas. Only the file of the jnani is closed, nil, diseased. Jnani is diseased. There's no jiva there. Jiva is gone, is dead and gone. Is Brahman now, So this is what? The second phala, Gyan phala, which is Videha Mukti. Now the Guru is going to talk about the different kind of karmas in reference to a jnani, Tattva Bodha doesn't talk about the karmas in reference to an ajnani. It talks about a jnani. So we'll just read that. Karmani kati vidhani santi iti chet agami sanchit prarabdha bhedena trividhani santi. So he himself is raising the question, the Guru, Karmani kiti vidhani santi iti chet. Iti chet means if asked, how many type of karmas are there? Then there are three, he says that there, he gives the answer that there are three different types of karmas. Bhedena trividhani santi. What are they? Agami karmas, sanchit karmas, and prarabdha karmas. So these are the three kinds of karmas, Now, I will, yet again I am going to tell you first about the law of karma, the very, very important law of karma, because Tattva Bodha expects us to know all this, as in many topics we've seen, So the Guru here talks about the law of karma from the point of view of a jnani only, but we have to know the law of karma, So the law of karma is very, very unique to our Vedas. And the word karma here doesn't mean action. It means the results, the punya and papa which we generate by doing an action. The action of doing karma, that is actually kriya. Kriya means action, But the word karma is also used there in different contexts, That is why we have our organs of actions called as karmendriyas, the indriyas by which we do karma, So the action is also called karma, and the results which we get out of doing this action is also called karma, So a deliberate action can only be done by a human being, because a human being has a free will to choose, decide, deliberate, and then do an action. Kartum shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyatha va kartum shakyam. In every action, I have a choice. I can do it, I may not do it, I can do the action in any other way, An animal is programmed. They work by instinct, They are not doing deliberate actions here. So they don't generate punya and papa. It is a human being whose action generates punya and papa. So one is, these karmas, these are of two types. One is called drishta phala. Karma is the karma phala which we are getting here because of our action. So one kind of action is called drishta phala, and another kind of result is called adrishta phala. So when we do an action, a physical action, we get a result from that action which we experience directly. That is drishta phala. Now if a snake is sleeping and I go and finger it, it's going to give me drishta phala. If I go and put my hand in fire, then fire is going to give me drishta phala. That is drishta phala. So that is purely a physical action. Now behind every physical action which we do, there is an invisible motive and intention because of which the person is doing that action, From top it may be all sugar and honey, but from inside the intentions are wrong. The intentions are different, They're self-centric intentions. So this intention, this invisible intention gets us an invisible result which is called an adrishta phala. It's too perfect a creation. We cannot get by doing anything hanky-panky here. It's God's creation is too perfect, So every action I'm getting some drishta phala, and there is an adrishta phala which is getting accumulated in my account. This adrishta phala can be positive or it can be negative. Positive adrishta phala is going to give me punyam in my account, and negative adrishta phala, that is a negative motive behind my action, is going to give me a papam which goes in my account. So as per my actions, I am going on accumulating this pap and punya in my karma account. And then these pap and punya get converted into happy and unhappy situations which I experience in life called sukha, dukkha. Punya is going to get me some favorable experiences here. Papa is going to get me some unfavorable experiences here. So the punya and papa are the invisible seeds which are responsible for future pleasure and pain. Adrishta punyam sukham dadati, adrishta papam dukkham dadati. So, now this is the reason why I'm facing what I'm facing in life. Now the next question is, how long does it take for this punya papa to get converted into sukha and dukkha, So just like the seeds of different plants, they fructify into a plant and give fruits at different times, Like a banana or a papaya tree will grow fairly soon and give fruits fairly soon as compared to a mango or a coconut tree, That takes, sometimes the tree is one generation plants and the next generation is reaping the fruits, So just like there is a difference, because the seeds require a conducive atmosphere and there's a certain time period the seed takes to fructify into a plant, similarly the seed of punya and papa requires a conducive atmosphere to turn into sukha and dukkha in my life, So all this which we are accumulating, the punya and papa which is getting accumulated, there is a cosmic bank account we have. We have a local bank account here, but there is a much bigger important cosmic bank account we have, which is called Sanchit Karmas. Sanchit means Samyak Chittam, very well accumulated by our own doing. We have accumulated that. Samyak Chittam. This whole thing is my own doing, and this entire bank balance, cosmic bank balance, is called Sanchit Karmas. Now out of these Sanchit Karmas, every birth of a person happens only because some of these karmas have matured. Just like in our bank, an FD becomes matured, So there we get the money. Here we are going to get a sthul sharira because of that. So when that certain amount of karmas from the Sanchit bank gets matured, those karmas are known as prarabdha karmas. Prarabdha means prakarshen arabdha. Arabdha means begun. Prakarshen, very well begun. They have begun to fructify and give us the results, Because of this prarabdha karma dictates the kind of body I am going to have, the time and birth of my janma, of a jiva. It may be a plant body, an animal body, a human body, any body as per the prarabdhas. And if it's a human body, it can be a male body, it can be a female body, it can be a congenital, or a body with congenital diseases, a body where Gyanendriya, Karmendriyas are not working from birth. The dumb, deaf, lame children are born, why? So, this is because of that prarabdha has got fructified. So, those karmas which have got ready to give us sthul sharira is called prarabdha karma, and this is out of the Sanchit bank. Now, while I am going through my life and exhausting the prarabdha karmas, I continue to do some karmas. I am doing fresh karmas over here, which are going to generate adrishta phalam again. These karmas which are being produced in this lifetime are known as agami karmas. This will, some of the agami karmas fructify in this birth itself, and some go and join the Sanchit bank. So if whatever is present in the Sanchit bank, it is going to fructify. It may take some time to fructify. We don't know that time period, but it remains in potential form in our account. So one is the Sanchit bank we have, then the prarabdha which gets ready in every birth, which gives me the sthul sharira, and while I am going through prarabdha, I am doing more karmas which are called agami karmas. So I am trapped in this because I have too many karmas in my account, and after every death then some prarabdha is ready. And even this, the time period between death and another birth is also a question in people's mind, that some say it's after 13 days a person is born. That's not the true thing which the Vedas say. It takes, the prarabdha has to fructify. Whenever they fructify, it can be immediately. Even the next day the person, sometimes they say for 13 days the soul is around, So whenever the prarabdha is ready, that is when the person is going to get a sthul sharira, But this is not what a jnani is going through, Jnani is above all this. So understanding this law of karma is so important, because then at least, not only do I have the knowledge about it, I have emotional strength to face this life. Otherwise, people are always worrying, why am I facing this? Why? I've not done anything wrong. And that corrupt person, because I know that person is corrupt, he seems to be having a nice time, he seems to be having everything. So there's no justice here. There's no God word over here, there's too much of suffering. Wherever I see there's suffering, and there's all injustice, all wrong. People seem to be having a nice time. This is a question in the people's mind, and many times they stop believing in God because of this, So why is that happening? Because they don't know anything about the law of karma, how the law of karma operates, And this only a human being, gets a chance to get out of this cycle, because only a human being does deliberate actions. The animals are exhausting their pap karmas, the devatas are exhausting their punya karmas. They have to, after they finish their exhausting their respective karmas, they have to be born as a human being, and then they get a chance for moksha, because it's only as a human being we do deliberate actions. And then this account of ours is, there. So whatever is getting me this sharira, even a jnani, he has come because of some prarabdha karma. In this life he's gone and got the jnana, but he has to go through that prarabdha karmas. Ramana Maharshi had skin cancer. Ramakrishna Paramahansa had throat cancer. Swami Vivekananda, he died at 39, and it seems he had 39 types of ailments, So that is why, because of the prarabdha which they had come for, and he got the physical body, whatever. But the thing is that the jnani is disidentified with his body. So all the problems of this world and his body, mind, sense complex, they've been made insignificant by this knowledge, Just like, the stars are present in the sky in the daytime also. It's not that the stars pop up only at night. They are always present. But because of the powerful light of the sun, their presence is made insignificant. Similarly, this powerful light, this light of knowledge makes this everything insignificant. They are not bothered of what is happening to this body. No matter what they go through, they are disidentified. The jnani's mind is tranquil, like a calm ocean. There's no grief in his mind about anything here. His mind is not agitated by binding desires. He has non-binding desires in his mind. Binding desires are those where your happiness is dependent on fulfillment of that desire. Non-binding desires, you act out of fulfillment. There's a big difference there, there's a subtle difference. And only a jnani can actually have tripti prapti, means the sense of fulfillment. An ajnani cannot have that, because there's always a sense of lack in that person. There's a sense of insufficiency, which they are always trying to remove. So they can never have that tripti prapti. Only a jnani can have that, And the knower of this knowledge is known as Brahmavit. Brahmavit means knower of Brahman, knows himself as Brahman, is called Brahmavit. And depending on the degree of disidentification from the body and mastery of the mind, even the Brahmavits are graded as Brahmavid Varaha, Brahmavid Variyan, Brahmavid Varishtaha, great, greater, greatest. Why is he greatest? He is disidentified from his body. Ramana Maharshi was so disidentified that in that cave which he meditated, he had to be physically brought out at times because his body would be infested with insects. He is in another world. He is not bothered about that body. And it also seems, once he's undergone some surgery without general anesthesia. I mean, can you believe it? Oh, here you give an injection and we are worried about that. He's taken a surgery without general, because he wanted to experience that surgery with a detached awareness. And he went through that. Doctors were actually feeling very peaceful operating on him. Otherwise, a doctor would be in pain. That I'm giving pain to that person. No, Raman Maharshi is detached. He's Varishtaha, Brahmavid Varishtaha. So these are the Jnana Phalas, and now the Guru is going to tell us about this from the reference of a jnani, which we'll have to continue in the next class. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om.